Okay, I think we can make a start.
Yes.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Fairfield, editor at Wahin Today. I'm with Kun Janjira Sumanas.
Good morning, I'm from MBMT and Wahin Accountant. So we meet again, huh?
We meet again,
yes.
Yeah. It's this follows on from, today's a live stream and it's the first live stream we're doing.
Yes.
So bear with us for any technical issues or anything like that. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Right.
This follows on from, it's kind of a hot topic at the moment.
Yes, people are still talking about this topic. Huh?
Yeah, which is, we're going to talk today about the crackdown.
Again.
About nominee shareholders
right.
in relation to foreigners owning and operating businesses in Thailand, and also in relation to people who've bought property in a company name and are using that as a way to hold land and things like that. This follows on the back of a podcast episode we did recently. Actually, it follows on the back of the seminar that you guys did first. Maybe you can tell people a little bit about that.
Yes. So we did a seminar a few months ago. We got very interesting customer, client, and still question coming to us. Then we had got a podcast.
And we did the podcast and we got more questions.
Yeah, we got more and more questions coming up. So we decided today, why don't we just do our...
Kun Janjira is a real expert in this topic and she's a brilliant speaker. So thankfully you'll be hearing less from me and more from Kun Janjira. But she's got quite a significant update on this. Mm-hmm. From my point of view, I'll do a brief introduction. I've worked in media best part of 13 years in Thailand, and I've covered or reported on or been aware of crackdowns on various kind of things. And this isn't a criticism, but what normally happens is there's a lot of publicity, there's a photo opportunity, there's a lot of headlines for a week. And like I said, it's not a criticism, it's more of an observation. But what normally happens is things kind of go back to how they were pre whatever crackdown it is, whether that's on visa runners, whether that's on who knows. But this is, from my point of view on reporting about this issue, is really quite different. It's came in maybe 2 years ago. They kind of announced this was happening, and there's been a couple of high profile cases in Phuket and in Pattaya where accountants and also the foreigners who've held, let's say, property in a company name have even been arrested, and it's got very serious. And this thing has built and built. And even as I'm talking to you today, there's a news story on one of the English language news sites of 500 companies in Krabi being affected by this. So this is a thing that's growing and growing. We have got a Q&A. There'll be an option for Q&A. We understand this is a sensitive issue for some people. So, you can ask your questions in confidence. We're not going to be broadcasting your names. And I'll act as a bit of a moderator here to try and pass those questions on.
Yes, and we'll try to answer as much as we can. Some questions may not be able to...
Of course, And, everyone's situation is very... It's kind of different, specific to them, so we'll do our best to try and give some general information. And who knows, if we can't answer your question today or we get more questions, that might be a good sign for us to do a follow-up of these. So I'll bring in Kun Janjira now. Maybe if you give a little bit of background on what we're talking about here, the general overview of the issue, and then we can dig into you got a presentation to give.
Yeah, we got the presentation here, so at least to understand better when we have something in a presentation. So let's start with the first one, the normal setup for a Thai company. When people want to do a business here in Thailand, they normally set up with a Thai company. When we call it a Thai company, it means you need to have at least 2 shareholders, and the majority shareholder must be Thai. So you can see the typical setup of 51% share held by Thai, and the 49 will be foreigner. So that would be the structure that the Department of Business Development has got their eye open for. So what we heard, the number that we got here is more than 100,000 company. The number I have here is 118,016 company with this setup.
So there's over 116,000 companies where there's 51% Thai, 49% 4% foreign. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So those companies have been kind of flagged or highlighted.
Correct.
By who? Who's doing that?
The Department of Business Development, or DBD.
Okay,
They are
DBD.
responsible for the company registration here in Thailand.
And why has this started?
Why it started, I think it's come from all those scammer, the more
Right.
bank account
Right.
that people get trapped in.
Okay, so this is a bigger thing. I think this is my take on it, that this is a bigger thing where you see a lot in the news about crackdowns on scammers
Right.
and this type of thing. And some of those have been operated by individuals using this structure, right? And caught up in that are the expats, people I know, our readers, your clients, people you know, who have been caught up in kind of the crossfire of this
Right.
in relation to them running businesses, owning property or land.
Owning property on land, yes.
And now we've got this situation where people are worried about
so
what's going to happen.
it's cover some area of the businesses. So they focus on the property, on the tourism, on the restaurant. So it's
Yeah, that's important to say. I always refer to this as I always look at it from the real estate angle, because the people I've spoken to in Mohin have mainly speaking to me in relation to them being a foreigner owning a property in a company name. So I kind of default to the real estate angle. But it's important to say it covers a list of different sectors, doesn't it? It's not just real estate.
No, it's not just real estate.
And are you speaking to people in other sectors that are
right,
affected
that's
by
right,
this?
that's
Yeah.
right. Or even the restaurant owner. You know, it's like a real restaurant setup. But when you set up the restaurant, of course, you need to have a Thai person to become your
A business partner,
business
essentially,
partner.
yeah.
If you look at all of those, like the tourism business, especially the Chinese tourism, that they try to set up their own operation here. When I say their own operation, it's cover everything that the tourists want to have.
Yeah.
For example, the tour operation itself.
Yeah, right. There's been been a big sector they've cracked down on,
that's
right? Yeah.
All the transportation, the restaurant, the tour guide that they provide.
Yeah.
That's why they also focus on the tourism business as well, not just the property,
Okay.
not just the developer, okay, not just the restaurant. It's like the big picture of doing business here in Thailand with the proper structure according to the law. Right?
Okay. Well, maybe you dive into your presentation.
Yes, so we go through.
Give people some
the
good understanding
presentation.
on the situation.
So, I'm not sure if you see the presentation coming up. Okay, so let's start with the first one, the stricter enforcement and monitoring. So the definition, actually what they are looking for is not just a paperwork of the shareholder list that you have at the DBD. They look at the realistic, how do you set up? If the shareholder put the investment into the company or not, do they have the right voting, right? And did they ever receive the dividend from the business operation or not? So it's become like a
So they're not just
substand.
looking for Thai names on a piece of
No,
paper. They're looking
not.
for
the reality.
genuine, active shareholders, right?
Absolutely.
Because in the real world, you wouldn't be a shareholder in a business, probably, if you hadn't put some money into that business, right?
That's the starting point of doing a business.
Yeah,
You
of
need
course,
to inject the capital into your business
And
first.
nor would you be a shareholder, really, if you'd never received a dividend payout.
Or
Because
if you-
otherwise, what's the point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have the voting right as a shareholder. If you look at a normal company, you must have the annual general meeting once a year. That's where the shareholder must vote for all those agenda, especially to approve the financial statement, to appoint the auditor. If you as a shareholder never done all those activities, who are you? You know, that
Okay.
become the questions. So those three things to start with. The first one, you inject the capital into your own company, into your own investment. The second one is when you have the voting right, you vote for your company activities or approval or not. And the third one is when you run the business must generate some profit. When the company has got a profit, have you ever received the dividend payment from the investment that you put in from day one or not? So that become the transaction, the genuine transaction of the company that you're supposed to have.
But then that becomes an issue for someone who, I'm thinking back to an example of a gentleman who actually, I spoke to him at your seminar, and he'd received a letter, which we'll get into in more detail. He'd received a letter from the DBD where they asked to provide information about the shareholders.
Right.
And, he said to me, these are just names on a piece of paper. He had literally no idea who these people were. So in that example, where you've just said, they've never put any money into the shareholding, they've never been paid a dividend,
right,
that would flag as an issue, right? So that's why they're asking for this,
It
not
is.
just names on a page. They're asking
and,
for.
And you need to be fair to him, to the guy that I spoke to. It's not his fault at all at that time because he didn't know.
Yeah, right. And then we'll come on to that. This is my kind of. I'm not affected by this directly, but this is my kind of issue with all of these things. Is that part of me feels, just my opinion, that a lot of foreigners have been pushed down this route.
That route, yes.
And it's not anyone's fault necessarily, but they've been pushed down this route because that was just the way everyone did it.
Yes, and back at that time, nobody think it's going to be a problem today.
Yeah, right. Because no one ever thinks really all that. And now we've got this situation where it's kind of, it's tough on people.
The world changed.
Yeah, the world's changed, right? And
Right.
you can come on to why that's happening. So, yeah.
The world changed, and I think it's time for cleaning up, put it that way, We know what happened in the past. We know that we couldn't go back to change what happened in the past, but at least we know where we are now and then how we gonna move forward. So from those three things, if you can put together the evidence, or if you try to improve your financial statement, to book the income, book the expenses, and try to give out the dividend. If you don't know those shareholder at all, try to see if you can find the genuine partner, then transfer the share to the right person.
None of those are a quick fix, though, right?
No.
That's not an easy fix.
No, it's not easy.
And somebody watching this might be thinking, well, why wouldn't you know the shareholder? And really, it's because back in the day when these companies were set up, I'm not saying this went on everywhere, but it was sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was sometimes maybe just someone in the office who had or it could have been like the messenger, or I'm aware of one situation where it was like a cleaner that just was paid each time she signed.
Right.
And she ends up being on hundreds of.
Or even from,
and no one knows where they are now. They're in a different part of the country.
Or somebody even from the previous owner who was sitting there as the
Right.
And when you purchase the property,
instead
of purchasing the property, you then purchase the company. The share just transferred to you on the part that you can hold, the 49%, and the 51% is still sitting with the same shareholder who you never know. So again, we can't go back to change that, but we need to correct, at least come up with those three things first, all right? Then the legal risks, we don't want to talk about this, but it will be good to know if you are being caught, what gonna happen. So the it will be the imprisonment and the fine.
All right.
Okay.
Right. Hold on.
Go on.
So the legal aspect of this, how realistic is that, though? I mean, really.
Really.
And like, how serious is this?
How serious
so
it is?
At the stage we've had, we've talked about crackdown, and when I attended the seminar, and we spoke about this in the podcast as well, when I attended your seminar in Hua Hin, there was about 200 people there, and some people there had received a letter from the DBD asking for, basically proof of their company and share ownership. And that included, as you mentioned, list details on shareholders, documents that would confirm dividend payouts, etc., etc. you know, okay, you received that letter. Like, how serious is that? And, you know, is someone really going to go to jail, or are they going to have the company taken from them?
Okay, how serious it is? Let's start with the DBD letter that people receive. It is your responsibility to answer those questions. If you're being inquired, they're gonna assume that you are a nominee shareholder. So in reality, we want to prove ourselves. So it is your responsibility to get back to them, and they have the penalty, the punishment clause in there already. If you don't reply, and if they think that if you don't reply and they don't come back to you, you are lucky, okay? If they come back to you and they assume that you are a nominee shareholder, you are using the nominee shareholder structure, then it will be both imprisonment and the fine that will be taken.
And who are they most looking at as being like responsible? Are they looking at the person who was the nominee shareholder? Are they looking at the foreigner who set the company up?
Both.
Are they looking at the accountant or the lawyer, whoever that
The
third one as well, who
lately,
facilitated that?
Lately, they are talking about the third one. When you set up a company, you must have a lawyer or the accountant who sign to verify your signature. It means that person who verify your signature must have seen you and know you. It's gonna be their job to before they.
And was that the case
you know?
back in the day? Was that the case before, or is that a new thing?
This is a new thing.
Okay.
This is a new thing that they will focus on the accountant or the lawyer.
Yeah, that tightens enforcement as well, because they're shifting responsibility to to someone like yourself, right? Or an organisation like yourselves, right? Okay.
Right. So that becomes the responsibility. And the other thing that just came up is the police summons. You heard about that, huh?
Yeah.
Not only DBD who sent out the questions. So right now, some of our customers, they received the summons from the police asking pretty much the same question. But the question that they are, I'm not sure if the slides come up or not because we just jump around, but that's okay.
Right. Oh, sorry. That's completely my fault, of course.
No, that's all right. That's why if you want to have the presentation, we can.
Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Let's go back to the presentation.
That's okay. So for the police summon, the additional questions that they ask for would be about the company director as well. From DBD, they focus on the nominee shareholder. For example, if DBD, they can ask for the bank statement of the nominee shareholder, but from the police, they'll ask from the director as well. And not only that, if the company own the property, the police want to see all the evidence of the ownership. And if there's the transaction, the banking transaction, like money transfer from overseas, they want to see the bank account, the original bank account in overseas, and the company bank account when you receive the money transfer.
So this is a big, escalation really from what we'd spoken about. Even we only did that podcast like a month or two ago, maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, something. And at that stage, it was the DBD, so the Department of Business Development, had been beginning to contact the 116,000 companies and contacting some of those with a letter that said, we need you to provide this information. And it was the information about shareholders and the things you've talked about. It's taken a step forward now where people are receiving letters from the police.
Correct.
Asking for even more information.
Right. More information about the company, about the director, about the international fund transfer.
And which, you say police, but which? The local police or?
No, Central Investigate Bureau.
Okay,
CIB.
the CIB, okay,
Yeah.
so that is serious.
Yeah,
then,
that's serious, is serious. And lately, DBD just have another announcement to like a new order. In the past, when we set up a company, we try to, if you have both Thai and foreign shareholders sitting in the company together from day one, when you set up a company, the Thai shareholder will be requested to send their bank statement to DBD So the DBD can check if this person have got enough fund for investment or not. So, the smart lawyer or accountant, they try to come up with all Thai shareholder to avoid this.
So they'd initially set the company up with all Thai
all
shareholders,
Thai,
so
yes.
no mention of a foreigner anywhere.
That's right. So the Thai don't have to send the bank statement to DBD.
Okay.
Right?
But then let's say a month later, they switch it up and add the foreigner in as a shareholder.
Correct.
You're saying that's now getting flagged.
That's now granted flag, and they have the new order that when you change the shareholder of that company to put the foreigner name in, you have to show the bank statement, the Thai shareholder. And the director gonna have to sign like a confirmation letter that the company acknowledge, and both parties have got the financial transaction between each other. It's become, when you try to sneak out and then DBD know what you're doing, then they try
there's
to
a lot
cross.
a lot more checks and balances in place, right, for this
right.
kind of thing. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
So that's become the how you call it, escalation of the scrutiny that they try to check on those companies who show the foreign name. Okay, even not 49%. People think that they only look at 51-49. In fact, it's not right. Any company that have the foreigner name,
They're looking
even
at that now,
35
are they?
looking at that as well, right? It's not a bad news, but just talk about this to be able to prepare.
Also, like I said to you before we started, but if someone receives that letter from the police or the CIB, it's one thing receiving a letter from the DBD, but if you receive a letter from the police, that can't be ignored, right? So is that like an offence in itself not to respond to that?
It become more serious if you don't respond.
Yeah.
They're gonna chase you.
Yeah.
You have the right to postpone, like making the appointment. They're gonna put you the date, like a fixed date when you have to get
you
back
need
to
to go
them.
and see
Yes,
them,
it's
okay.
like a timeline.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're not ready, you can contact them and try to postpone it, but you cannot just keep quiet.
And
ignore.
are you seeing this? Are people receiving this letter in Hua Hin?
Yes.
And they've come to you and said
Right.
what to do?
I got the letter here.
Yeah.
We have. And I think in our presentation we translated in English, so you're gonna see the list of like 6 questions asked and the requirement from the police.
Okay.
Yeah, number 1 and number 2 would be.
Okay, good. Yeah, we did say bear with us with the technical side, but I believe the viewers can see the presentation now, which
you
is
can see it
is
now,
good.
huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I can see. Thank you we're receiving quite a lot of questions, which is great, and
Right.
a few nice comments. So thanks for people doing that. Maybe Kunjanji, I've interrupted you there, which is completely my
That's
fault.
okay. It's good because you as somebody who can ask me the question it might be better than running through the presentation.
Well, what I was going to suggest is maybe if you could pick up on the presentation at least, and that'll give me a chance to just collate the questions.
Okay. So I think the next thing that we need to look at, why don't we just look at the list of the document and the proof of investment that you may have to prepare, try to look at your folder if you have all of this thing or not. Start from number 1, proof of the investment that you need to show to DBD is a receipt when the company get the investment from your shareholder. So each shareholder, they have to put the investment into the company bank account, and when they put the money into the company bank account, the company must issue out a receipt for them. So that's number 1. Of course, you're gonna have to show the bank statement of the company, and you have to show the bank statement of the nominee. Oh no, not the nominee, of the shareholder as well. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is the company financial statement, the operation. You can have all of the paperwork in your folder, but realistic. It has to be like a real operational, has to be genuine business operation. Even you only put your land and house there, you still need to have the financial statement. And if you look at our presentation, we have got a sample of the financial statement that is must show the asset of the company.
Okay.
And the major asset of the company, of course, cash in the bank. If you have the company bank account open, even you have only 1 baht there, financial statement has to show that 1 baht in the financial statement. And the more important is the asset. If you purchase the land and house in the company name, both land and house must be booked as the company asset. So that's important on the asset part that you should look at if your accountant has put everything properly or not. And then you go to the next one, it would be the liability.
Let me stop you there. So there are instances where people have set the company up, but let's say the property and the land isn't included as an asset.
Right.
So then what have they bought? They've just bought the company with...
They both, okay. It is one case. So let's come up with the use case that we have.
This is me interrupting you again.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think that's what people want to hear, like a use case. So we just have a recent customer coming to us with many years ago history of his company. The guy bought the company instead of buying a property transfer at the land office. They just buy the share of this company who have got the land and house. So from day one, when they bought it, they got both land and house sitting in the company. The problem is when they sold the land and house out, the first property in that company, they have the lawyer do all the transfer at the land office, but the accountant who do the financial statement never know what happens, what's going on. Finally, eventually, the guy just realized that they haven't booked the property sale in that financial statement at all. Okay, that's problem number one.
So that doesn't exist on paper anywhere?
It still exists in the financial statement, but on the paper at the land office, it no longer belong to the company. So that's one thing. The second thing is they purchased the second property under the company name. It's supposed to be land to be booked in the company, and then they build the house in the company. The land was booked in the company, but the building has been disappeared because of the construction permit, the payment and everything never come out from the company, and the accountant never realized about those transactions at all. So that's the problem. And it is some case that when people buy land and house separately, they only put the land in the company and the house is in a person name. So you have to make sure that you get what you pay for from the company bank account booked as the company asset. Okay, so that would be the first spot that you need to look at in the financial statement that your accountant present to you before you sign off. And please, they always ask, they always arrange it in Thai. So please ask for the English version so you can understand what is booked in there. Right? So that's number one.
You mean ask the accountant for the English version? Yeah.
Yes, for the English version.
Yeah, they should give you that, of course.
Yeah, and if if you have any question, just get back to them, ask the question, where's the land book, where's the building, the house is book, right? So that's the first part that you need to look at. And the next one would be the liability. If you borrow money, or if you as a director put money into the company, it must be booked as a loan from director. So when the company has got some income or spare cash, then you can have your money booked back. So that would be a loan from director and loan to director. It's very confusing, and I can see quite a lot of mistake.
Oh, really?
Yes, of those two things booked in the financial statement. So that would be the next part. And the third one that you should look at is the investment that you put in. Then the bottom line is going to live like the shareholder equity. So you must be aware how much money that you invest and how much the book value of the company, how much the shareholder equity that is should book. So everything that we talk about, those three things will be specified in the balance sheet. Okay, so that's first thing. The next part of the financial statement would be profit and loss. profit and loss, if you just set up a company for the property purchase for you to live in that house, it would be very simple. The company must book revenue, like rental income. Even you live in there by yourself.
Yeah, but how can they do that?
How can they do that?
So the reason that a lot of foreigners they bought property or land in a company name, that was like the term given to it. The reason why they did that is because, let's be honest, it was normally probably a Western male with his Thai wife or Thai partner, and that was seen as a way of securing their property that they'd probably bought should the relationship like break down, or change, right? How can someone show a profit and loss if they might have been living in the house that they bought for 15 years ago?
Right.
How are they meant to show a profit and loss? They're just living there. It's not a...
Okay. If they just live in there, you need to have a clear line between the company and yourself as a director. You are the owner of the company as a director or shareholder, but the asset actually belongs to the company. When the asset belongs to the company must get some profit from that asset. It means you as a director or shareholder of your own company, you still have to pay the rent to the company, to the owner of the asset. Okay? And again, it doesn't have to be a massive rent. You just do it at a market price. Or for some people who only put the land in the company, what you have to book is just a land lease. You don't pay for the lease of the house, the building. So that could be even cheaper. But it must be something. It can't just be that the company purchased the asset and lived there for 10 years. 10 years. Nothing happened. I see quite like...
That must be quite common, I would think.
Yeah, it is common, and it's become, and that become like a common mistake from the financial statement that I seen. Some of them, from the P&L sheet, they don't book the revenue at all. They only book the expenses, and the expense is very small, like 5,000 baht.
And what when you say expenses, like what would that actually be?
Okay, the expenses, of course, accounting fee, audit fee.
Okay,
I think that what they book.
Of course, yeah.
But you can have other expenses related to the property of the company as well. For example, if you do the rental agreement between yourself and the company, you then put all the term and condition about other costs related to the company. If you say that the director gonna have to pay, then you cannot book those costs in the financial statement. But if you say that the company, for example, the company gonna provide the utility, for example, internet, so the internet bill can be booked as the expenses of the company as well.
Okay.
It depends on the lease agreement.
So let me get back to the thing of like you almost paying your own company rent for the property, like
right. And then the company, when they are
it's quite an unusual thing for someone
unusual
to do, right?
It's unusual
it's
thing
weird.
when you are thinking that you and the company are the same person and the asset is belong to you. But if you look from different point of view, that you and the company are two separate person, and the asset is belong to the company. And if you look in the financial statement, the bottom line, the shareholder equity, it will show profit and the investment that you put in. Actually, all of those money gonna go back to you.
I was just about to say, couldn't
dividend.
you then take that out as a dividend?
That's right.
That was the very next thing.
That's right. We just do it properly, step by step.
But the important thing is to show that trail almost, right?
That's right.
It might come back to you, but there's the steps that you followed the process properly. Okay.
And the depreciation is something that people miss when you put the house in the company. You must book the depreciation 5% each year from the value of the property.
Oh, is that right?
So yes. So this is something that is linked and it must be shown in the financial statement. Actually, it's quite simple, nothing complicated here. It's just follow the accounting standard that you have the asset of the company, you have the liability if you borrow money from someone, you have the investment that you put in as the capital, you then have the profit and loss to show revenue and expenses. When you have the profit, it's going to shift into the balance sheet to show in the shareholder equity. When the company has got the asset, you must book the depreciation, and that depreciation become the company expenses to reduce the profit. Anything shown in the bottom line of the balance sheet as the profit, you can get the money out as a dividend. And in the future, if you close down the company, everything sitting as the shareholder equity, it will be sent back to the shareholder, which is the money go back to yourself.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, it's like completed the circle.
Yeah, it's like the
almost,
complete the
right?
circle.
Okay.
And the evidence, the proof of everything of this transaction would be the bank statement of the company as well as yourself.
Okay.
And that's what the police is looking for from the someone when they ask for. You know, all of those trail of the fund transfer, the transaction.
Have you got anything else in your presentation you'd like to highlight? In the
presentation to highlight, the 6 business area that we already talked about that they are focused on is the tourism, the first one, and the land trading, real estate, the second one, the e-commerce, logistic warehouse as well, hotel and resort business, agriculture, and the general construction business. So all of those 6 business area, if you are in that area, you are in a target group. Okay, put it that way. Anything else here? So from since DPD becomes stricter from last year, the number of nominee is reduced. So from the record that they have is January until March 2025, they have 3,511 companies of the nominee. Now,
so they have. Say that again. So those are new companies that have been set up. Or?
The nominee,
Okay.
the nominee company that has been called.
Oh right. So
Right.
they've looked at.
Yes, they look at.
So that
They
time
look
period again
at-
was Jan to March.
Last year.
Okay,
It was
2025.
yes, 25. It was 3,511.
So they've investigated what, and they've closed them down. Those have been.
It's
been
still- some
not
of them has
legitimate,
been-
or they've been investigated.
Yes,
right?
it's been investigated, and for some cases that has been finalized. So they're gonna have to close it down. If they have the asset in the company, like the land, they'll be forced to sell the land out, and the shareholder and the company itself become, get the penalty. So they look at the number from January until March of this year. The number reduced by 60%. So it's reduced to 1,373. So let's look at what they have, for the rest of the year. So they have got their own target to reduce this number, like a big reduction. Okay. And
It would be interesting to see, just thinking out loud, but it'd be interesting to see if they reach a target, whether they think job done or whether they think we need to
I'll keep tracking
go
that.
more of this. Yeah. I guess time will tell, I guess.
Yes, that's right. So that's the someone we already talked about the 6 questions that they asked.
Yeah, maybe run through that again,
Yeah, run
because
through
if
that
people
again, huh?
are late joining the live stream,
Okay.
so
So-
this is for the viewers. This is the summons. Now this is a police summons. So before there'd been letters sent out from the DBD, which is the Department of Business Development. This is then like a step further now, where people are being contacted. The police, the CIB, which is the Central Investigative Bureau. It's a serious thing, and in that letter that is being sent to people who you've had clients coming to you saying,
Yes, we had a client who got that
what can we
letter
do
as
with
well. The client who came to us is the shareholder of the company. The letter will be sent to both shareholder and director.
What sector is their company operating in?
The company, yes.
And what sector? Was it a tourism one? Was it a real estate?
It's real estate.
Okay, okay. And this letter says 6 questions.
6 questions.
And those 6 questions
Right. So the first question is the shareholder, the shareholding document. So this question is exactly the same as DBD, that they want to see the share certificate, they want to see the share registration book and the proof of payment, company affidavit, and the shareholder list. So all those documents that you can get from DBD, and they already have those documents in hand actually. If, for example, the company affidavit and the shareholder list, because they can access into DBD database. But what they're missing is the share certificate, the share registration book, and the proof of payment. Because when you register the company, you don't have to provide all of those documents to DBD. That's why they ask for the evidence. Number 2 is the pre-incorporation meetings. So before you set up a company, you must have we call it promoter meeting between you and me. We want to set up a company, so we have the first meeting saying that we want to set up the company, and that meeting should...
Oh, they need a record of that.
Yeah,
then,
they need a record
minutes,
of that. Yeah, it's like a minutes
Okay.
of the meeting. So that minutes of meeting gonna have the record of the investment and the shareholding percentage between the promoter and the business that you want to do. So that's the second thing. Again, you can have a copy, because when you register the company, you must file this document at DBD. If you can't find it, or if it is missing, you can ask for a copy from DBD for that, like getting a copy, okay?
Yeah, but meeting minutes from 20 years ago.
Yeah, from 20 years ago. Hopefully they still have it.
Might be difficult.
Hopefully they still have it on file. Number 3 is the evidence of transactions between the company and director, including loan and related company, if any, okay? So when you set up the company, you must appoint one person to become a director. The director is somebody who take the full right authority for this company. You as a shareholder, you appoint a director to act on your behalf, and they have that director have the authority right. So normally the foreigner will become a director of their own company, so they can take control. Police want to see the document of the director to see if there's any transaction between the company and director. For example, if you book the loan to or loan from director in the company financial statement, you must show the director bank statement that the director transfer money into the company bank account as. Okay? So that's become deeper and deeper. DBD didn't ask for that, but the police want that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. And then number 4, bank statements of the company and director, including transfer records. So if there's any transaction between the bank, between the company and the director, for example, the loan again, or if you, if the director, you just give the director the remuneration, the salary, then they want to see that the money transfer from the company to the director bank account as the employee. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5 is proof of company asset ownership or possession, including lease agreement. This is the document from the land office, title deed or shanoon.
Okay.
If you put the asset in the company, so the title deed, on the back of the title deed, gonna show the company names, not your name.
That's what it, right, okay.
That's right. Or even if you have the lease agreement, like the instruction that we just talked about, the company has got the land and the building is put in the director name. So the company must have the lease agreement with the director. And that lease agreement, for some people, they registered at the land office for 30 years. So the back of the title deed will show that registration. Again, you need to give it to the police.
But out of all of those documents you mentioned so far, that's probably the easiest to obtain, right? Is a land title from the land office.
Right.
Meeting minutes and shareholder details going back decades might not be so easy to get hold of, right?
Just try, and as if you're doing everything correctly, and only problem is those document is missing, it would be the way to go back to find that document. Unlike when you don't have all of those, like
I'll ask you some questions about that shortly.
The last one is the personal income tax filing of director or authorized person. So first thing I saw this request, I thought, it shouldn't be your business. It's like personal income. Why you need that? You check the company, not the person. The reason that they ask for this one is to verify that the person who's in charge in your company has got has got enough sufficient fund for that or not. Imagine if you just appoint somebody who don't have any income. Let's say they earn only 10,000 baht a month, and you put them as the shareholder of a big company.
Yeah, so maybe this kind of refers to examples I'd given whereby a gentleman I spoke to, he thought that the shareholders on his was basically it just been like a cleaner in the office of the company that he happened to use that 23 years ago, he told me. So that'd be an example where there's nothing wrong with being a cleaner, but you're probably only earning 10,000-15,000 a month, and you're not likely to be a shareholder of a company, right?
Exactly. Okay. The other cases that we always seen is, we have got, how you call it, state welfare card that the government tried to support somebody who have.
So is that like social security you're referring to?
It's not a social security. It's just the state welfare card that they get. I'm not sure, 500 or 1,000 baht a month from the government.
Okay, right.
So they need to apply for it.
Okay, yeah.
They shouldn't have more than 100,000 baht income per year. So it's even less than 10,000 baht per month.
Yeah.
And the whole family shouldn't have more than, 300 something. And they shouldn't have the asset. It clearly says that they are not qualified to become a shareholder. If you just happen to appoint those person, you'll be in trouble because those person is already in the record of the government. It's easily for them to check from the ID card.
Yeah, and so they can do that, right? They are checking other agencies or other databases.
Yes,
I think sometimes as foreigners we wonder how connected these different Thai departments are, and
like a big data.
Are they speaking to each
They
other?
speak to each other.
I guess with data and AI and things, it makes it more easier.
This is why they try to put everybody under the tax record. Even you don't have to pay tax, you still need to get the tax ID. You still need to file the form. There
is some crossover here with the stuff we've talked about with regards to personal income tax, I guess, as well. That once you're in that system, we won't talk about that today.
No, not
that's
today.
Another
not
topic.
Today.
But there is crossover as well with that, isn't it? That then once you're in the system, kind of thing, agencies are able to connect dots about you more easily. Yes. Okay.
So if you just happen to appoint somebody in that category, again, it's not your fault, somebody who supplied by other people. You never know the situation or the circumstance of that person. But the government who have got those records already, they do know that the person you appoint is not qualified to be the shareholder who need to invest into your company or to be a director, Even the law didn't clearly says about the qualification of the director, but to be realistic, if you want to appoint somebody to handle your business, it must be somebody.
Yeah, so there isn't a law that says a person who's only earning such and such, but when somebody looks at that, like you say, it's not realistic that they would be a shareholder in a company if they're a cleaner in the office, right? Okay.
This is what we say substance over form.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they're gonna look at the genuine operation, genuine appointment.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying that you as a foreigner become the owner of the company. You cannot appoint a third party to be a director, but it has to be somebody who really work for you, right? So that's the something from the police that you may have to be prepared. The 6 questions that they have, especially the last one, when you appoint somebody and they don't have the bank statement or the tax payment record, what can you do?
Yeah,
Right.
maybe we come on to that now. I can see we've got a lot of questions actually
Okay,
coming.
why don't we just
Well, I'm just looking for time. So we said about 11:30 this will finish, right? So we're good for time. So I think maybe we spend the next couple of minutes. I think we should move on to now, like, how can people fix this
it?
problem?
Right.
You
Okay.
know, you mentioned here, I wrote it down, like, you mentioned one thing that I raised my eyes at, like, people are forced to sell their land or their property. Like, I think I'll just think off the top of my head,
Okay.
how can people fix this? And then we'll maybe we can give a good 25, 30 minutes on the guys' questions that
Okay,
have sent
so
it
we
in.
have 10 more minutes talking about how
Yeah.
to fix it.
Yeah.
That's become the important part, you know.
Yeah, right.
When you come up with the problem, you should let people know how to fix it as well.
Yeah, so how I mean, maybe you can give from your point of view, if I was to walk into your office or contact you and say I've received this letter, help, what can I do?
Help.
I set up I bought a house in a company name 15 years ago. I've got none of the shareholder documents. I've got no financial documents.
Okay. What I always ask from our client is, give everything you have in your folder as much as you can to me. You know, some people, they just bring the whole folder, everything that they have from the beginning to us. We will sort it out, what we can use and what is missing. Then we discuss how to fix it, those missing stuff, okay, and try to, as I says, you can't go back to change things in the past, you know. When you know the mistake and then we see how much we can fix it with the paperwork. We can't go back to do the bank statement 10 years ago, but at least all of the document and the financial statement that they want to see, we look at the financial statement if there can be any adjustment made to the previous year or not. For example, that guy who sold the house, the property, but haven't booked the sales in the financial statement. So we book the sales in the present year. It's better than not doing anything.
So from your point of view, if a client walks in and is affected by this, your initial step is to try and obtain as much of the paperwork as you can.
Put together the paperwork as much as I can and then discuss.
So that would involve you and your team, like contacting Land Office, DBD, all the relevant agencies that you can to try and start building a file, I guess, or whatever the correct terminology is.
Yes. And then it's going to leave few items that we cannot fix, you know. Then we discuss one by one the best way to come up with the best solution.
Is it okay? So, and then what if somebody, let's say it's me, I've received that letter. Are you guys then accompanying me to the police station with the file, and like how might I deal with that? Because as a foreigner, being in a Thai police station or being in front of any police officer,
right? You need somebody who can speak Thai. Yes. So
you probably need someone. No
someone
disrespect.
to accommodate.
Yeah, no disrespect to any police in Thailand, but they might not speak English, and the foreigner can't speak Thai. It's a two-way street. I'm not criticising anyone.
Right.
Like, let's say I've received the letter. You've helped me get the documents together now. There are some missing, but do you come with me to the police station?
Yes.
This is the file. This is the best I've done. Then what? Like, is it you've tried your best?
Yeah, try our best.
Because that still doesn't affect the potential issue of the nominee structure, right?
Right.
Like, it's kind of still not resolved, you know?
Not really, but at least you have got something to get back to them and then find the way to, like, negotiate.
Okay. Is there a situation, or is it the case where the authorities or the police, or if they've seen that you've kind of made an effort to rectify this, that's better than being disappear or ignore. Right.
Okay. So that's one thing when you receive the letter. And the other area that we would like to suggest is, if you are doing a business, like a real business, genuine business, not just set up the company for your own property, you may look at the foreign business license to be able to own 100% share. Foreign business license give the foreigner the right to own 100% share or to be the majority shareholding.
And anyone can apply for a foreign business license?
It depends on the business activities. There are 3 lists of the business activity. If your business is fall into the list number 3, you can apply for that, and it would be few options for that. For example, it can be like a branch office. It can be like new entity set up, or if you like to go through BOI route, you can do that as well. It can be a representative office.
But if I wanted to buy a house and land and set up a company to do that and applied for it, I wouldn't be able to apply for a foreign business license to do that, would I?
No. Foreign business license is just only for a genuine...
Like a legitimate business.
Yeah, legitimate
So what
business.
about if I was... what about if me and my friend from the UK, we wanted to open up, I don't know, a restaurant here, let's say. Could we then... We still come into the situation of where we still need a Thai business partner. Right? We couldn't apply for a foreign business license, could we? Or
for a foreign business license, it must be something special.
Oh, right,
not just
so it's not just
normal,
like if I want to open a pizza restaurant or something, like I can't no.
I think for the restaurant and for the hotel business, even for the hotel, if you have got a big investment there, you can go through the BOI as well as the restaurant. Okay. So for BOI itself, it will be 4 category of the business that you can apply for. And for representative office, that one is the most common one. If you have the head office who appoint you to do the activities here in Thailand and you don't generate any income here in Thailand, you can just apply for the representative office. For the foreign business.
So that in that example, that'd be like, let's say, an international company who are looking to do something in Thailand, but don't actually, say, trade or make. Maybe they've come to like research or something.
Right.
That they could open up a representative office which isn't making any money, but it can base staff there and they can work and operate legally.
Exactly. They can send money to cover the expenses. But all the income will be paid directly from the customer to the head office. That one is quite simple.
But you still couldn't, getting back to nominees, you still couldn't do BOI to buy property and like, could you? Or can you? You couldn't set up the BOI company to buy the property for your own use, put it this way. If you are the operational company, for example, if you want to set up a factory here in Thailand and you want to buy the property, buy the land for your factory construction, yes, you can do it under the BOI company. Even the share is owned by foreigner, like 100%. So that's the part of the genuine business operation. But when you come to a normal setup for a foreigner who wants to buy the land and house for their own use, so that could be another structure to be considered. Instead of setting up a Thai company using a nominee structure to buy the land, you can look at the land lease. So it would be like a long-term land lease, 30 years, not 90 years. People misunderstood. Maybe we can touch on that.
Later, not this one.
That's maybe another
session.
Episode.
So 30-year land lease, that's number one, or the usufruct. If you have a partner, a spouse, Thai spouse who owns the land, she can give you the right to use the land. We call it usufruct. That can be registered at the land office, and you can have it for lifetime. And the other thing that people talk a lot lately is the superficie registration. That gives you the right.
What's that?
What's that,
Yeah.
The normal structure of the lease agreement is when you don't own the land, you lease the land from other people, then you have the right 30 years on that lease. You then build
and
the
it
house.
is only 30 years, right?
30 years.
People think it's 90, but it's not, it's 30, right?
People think it's 90 because in the agreement it always says 30 plus 30 plus 30, like a renewal clause. But when you look at the title deed at the land office, it's only allow you to do it 30 years.
Yeah, only
the first
30 years is legally enforceable, right? Yeah.
So you have the right of that land for 30 years.
So it could say 500 years. So it's not enforceable, right?
No,
it's only
not
that
enforceable.
30. Yeah, yeah.
You can say whatever.
There's a lot of confusion about that.
That's right. You can say
I
in the
seen
agreement.
recently. I saw some TikToker recently, the last couple of weeks, talking about 90-year leases. And it's just, of course, there's a lot of people who know that's incorrect, and the comments are full of stuff. But there are a lot of other people who are confused.
Still confused.
Yeah, confused about that.
You can say 500 year in the lease agreement between like individual, but when you go to the land office, they only allow you to do 30 years.
Yeah.
And when you have the document at the land office, it's actually supersede what you have signed between two of you.
Okay.
So it has to go with the land office document. So you have got the right to use the land for 30 years. Then people start building the house in their own name. As a foreigner, you can own the house. So you get the construction permit under your name. You become the owner of the house. Okay, so you have two rights together. One is the lease, another one is the ownership of the house. When the lease expires, the building actually belongs to the landowner. Okay, that's the lease agreement. But the superficie agreement that people is talking about is actually giving you the right to be a real owner of the building sitting in that land.
Oh, right.
So that's another kind of registration that you can do. It will be good for somebody who, from the investment side. If you only do it for your own living, for your lifetime, and you have a Thai spouse who own the land, I think the user frac will be better. It's not that complicated.
Is that what you'd recommend? If I walked in just as a client asking you for advice, is that the kind of route you'd recommend people, is it?
Again, it depends on the circumstance.
Of course, yeah. We should say that as well. In all of this, everyone's situation is kind of unique to them.
Unique to them.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But
and the circumstance is one thing, and your objective, your goal, what you want to do next. For somebody who want to invest in that property as well, not just living in there, they want to sell it in the future. Maybe user frac won't be the right option.
Oh, really?
Right. And for somebody who don't want to have any like obligation or anything to do much at the land office, so it's the use of frac.
Okay. What if somebody in today walked in and said, I want to buy a house in a company name?
You want to buy a house in the company name?
What advice would you be giving him?
You want to buy a land in the company name, right?
Yeah.
So you need to come up with the Thai partner.
And it needs to be
the genuine,
legitimate.
Legitimate Thai partner who invests in the company. Put the investment there, and you need to come up with a proper financial statement handle. You can't just.
So unless your situation is one where you're genuinely setting up a company in order to like buy and sell, unless it's a legitimate company, basically.
Legitimate, yes.
Like, forget it. Those days are over, I guess, now, right?
Shouldn't take that risk, put it this way. All right. So if you did long-term lease, the 30 years would be the option. Yeah, that's good, I think.
Yes,
good enough.
I think that worked, yeah. And we talked about this on the podcast, the lease, but for like expats, I'm thinking, retirees who come here, the lease can be, you can leave that in your will, right? To let's say you have adult children back in Europe or wherever, you can leave that
in the will.
Or you can actually, you recommended adding them on the start to the lease, which is a good tip,
You can have more than one leasee in the lease agreement, so you put their name in there as well.
So if it comes to inheritance, I'm talking about that it could be left to them, or they could be added from the start.
Right. As well as the house.
Yeah, because that's another thing for like older expats who 20 years ago, they were 55 and they put a house in a company land and house in a company name. If they have adult children or grandchildren, let's say in UK or Europe, in terms of like inheritance,
it can be the share of the company.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know much about this, but I know enough about Thailand and its documents. It's going to be a nightmare to leave that to. It's not going to be a straightforward process, right?
Okay. For
I
Thai
wouldn't have
will. All right, we go to the will a little bit, huh? It's related. So I always recommend to have our customer to do the Thai will separately. Because in Thailand, you need to take the will, go through the probate. You need to appoint one person to become the executor, and that person must be appointed by the court. It means you have to take the will to the court to do the probate, and then the executor will be somebody who signed on your behalf to transfer all those assets to the person that you wish to.
Yeah, but let's say they do that, it would still not be straightforward to put another foreigner.
No,
Would it? You know, let's say elderly gentleman here passes away, and he's got family, he's got grandkids in Holland that he wants to, and he thinks he can put it in his will. He'll leave this house, this pool villa in Hua Hin, and then it's in a company name. It won't be a straightforward process to put more foreigners in there.
If it is in the company name, you actually giving the share of the company to your kids,
okay,
not the house. So what will be transferred is the share of the company.
Right, okay. Yeah. It's a bit messy.
Yeah,
right?
It is. All right.
I'm
Should
seeing
we
notes
go?
about Q&A. I think that's...
wow.
Yeah, you didn't know my Thai was that good, did you? But I'm seeing notes about... Well, the good news is we've got lots of questions, actually.
Yeah, yes.
I've made a note of some of these.
I'll let you...
Apologies. If I just pick them out, I think it's probably the best way. So, some of these... Yeah, some of these are kind of about the overall situation. Some of them are observations as well, which I'll maybe just raise. But someone say, do you ever see it in the future that the Thai government would eliminate the requirement for 51% Thai ownership? I mean, you'd just be giving your opinion on that one. But this person thinks this has been and remains a major problem for businesses.
I don't think... Okay, just my own opinion, okay? I don't think that they're gonna waive this regulation, but what they try to do is become more flexible on the foreign business license. For example, if you look at BOI certificate in the past, you must be you must put like a massive investment, then you can go through BOI. But currently, they allow a small business operation to apply for BOI as well, right? I think the 5149 is still there, but they try to be flexible and give out the foreign business license.
We could do a whole thing on BOI, actually.
Right, we can.
Yeah, my observations, if you want my opinion on that, I don't think Thailand has ever changed from 51% Thai ownership.
I don't think.
But what I've seen in my time here is that they have made... they have given people more options to start businesses here. And we should say that in all this discussion, it's not that Thailand's like anti-business or it doesn't want foreign investment.
We still want
the reality is that there's probably more foreigners opening businesses here than ever have been, right, I would say. And there's more foreign businesses opening.
You are right.
And they're doing it through channels like BOI. So
foreign business license, rep office.
Yeah, which... we touched on it in the podcast that you should go back and watch if you've not seen. But there's more avenues to open businesses here, and there's more visa classes for people to do that kind of stuff as well. So, do I think that'd ever change the 51%? No. An expert doesn't. I mean, we'll leave it at that. This follow-on question then says: is there a legal way for a foreigner to own a business 100% in Thailand, or is that simply impossible?
So let's go back to the foreign business license. So with the foreign business license, it come with few types of the setup: branch office, a new company, new entity set up here. It can be the representative office. Or if you're American, you can go through the American Amity Treaty. You can own 100% share, and you can be appointed to be a director.
Have you
It's
ever had
like
clients that have done that?
Yes, we do.
Have you?
We
Yeah.
do. It's
Yeah.
like a special contract between Thai and America to offer this.
Yeah, is that
years
like
ago.
a 40 million baht? Is it not that much? Is that something else I'm getting confused with?
No, it's not 40
Okay.
million baht. In the past, might be like a big amount of the investment that they require, and they try to reduce it and become more flexible, like giving you a chance to be the owner
Okay.
of the business here in Thailand, and that would be the option of you to own 100% share.
Is that a realistic option for Americans? Is it? Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Someone here, I mean, this is kind of how long is a piece of string, but how much does it cost for a foreigner to open a business in Thailand?
How much does it cost? You mean a normal Thai company?
They don't specify.
So if it is a normal Thai company, the government fee would be 6,000 baht, and the registration fees depends the law firm that you are talking to.
Okay.
It might start with 10,000.
Okay.
But if you are looking for BOI and other foreign business license, it's gonna be a fee for the application of that license as well.
Okay, and that relates to, if it's in the case of a foreigner, what about like setting up? They've said the necessary paperwork and permits and work permits and all that kind of thing. Like,
Right. So we talk about this, huh? We're gonna have some a session about doing business here in Thailand. So that would
maybe
be
we should
that
save
would
it
be
for
like
that,
a step by step. So first thing that you when you want to set up a business here in Thailand, so look at the structure of the setup. If you're gonna go with a typical Thai company, you need to have 51%, a majority shareholder. You must have at least 2 shareholders. Majority must be Thai. But if you go through the foreign business license, can be foreigner to own 100%. So that one thing, the shareholder. The second is the company must have the registered address. So the location of the company that you use as the registered address. The company must come up with a capital. Again, it doesn't have to be a million. Somebody just set up with 10,000 baht, 100,000 baht. It depends on your business operation. And when we are talking about the capital, the investment actually can come in as the capital and the loan. Okay, so that's the capital. You must have the company director, and the company director must have a work permit. Okay, so that's the next step.
Okay.
After you set up a company, the company must open a bank account. That's something that we need to talk about later as well, about the bank account. The company must appoint the auditor to sign off your financial statement. So that's what you need when you set up a company. Work permit and visa would be something necessary when you hire the foreign employee or when you have the foreign director. Okay.
Okay, here's a question for you. This might put you in a difficult position, Kunjanjira. This person's asking for advice on how to find a reliable, trustworthy accountant who will take care of everything. And I think from a foreigner's point of view, I think some of the issues around this company set up to buy land, I think some of those issues are coming now because, dare I say it, maybe the accountants didn't do a great job back in the day, and some of those issues,
Tell me about it.
Yeah, right. So what just general advice would you give to a foreigner in choosing an accountant, and maybe a lawyer as well, and whoever else is involved? And
okay, I can understand both sides when they are talking. I'm not blaming each other. Okay, I can understand that when you appoint somebody to do the work, for example, the accountant or lawyer, they're the professional, and you expect that they're gonna do their work in the level that they're supposed to be as the professional. If you know exactly what you have to do, why do you appoint the lawyer and accountant, right? Mm-hmm. When you appoint somebody, you expect the level of service to be at that point. Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult to say who's good, who is bad, who can do the work, who. the first meeting is very important. When you go to talk to them, come with the list of the questions that you have to see how they can answer. And for example, ourselves who are in accounting, we get the certificate from DBD, Department of Business Development. We from 10 years ago, I think, we got the certified accounting firm. That certificate is issued out from DBD, and that would be one thing, proof that we meet the standard of DBD. But I'm not saying that for others who don't get this certificate are not doing a good job. They're not just happen to be in that group of like when you try to get the ISO. I'm not saying that people who don't get the ISO is not good. They are good as well, but they just didn't want to pay for the ISO.
Right.
It's something like that. So the first meeting is very important. Discuss with them, try to ask the question that you have. We give out, like, for example, the financial statement that I showed to you in our presentation. Maybe you can go back to look at your financial statement to see that everything is booked in there or not. If not, you may have to go back to talk to your accountant to see if they understand your point or not. If they understand and they are happy to make the adjustment, I think you can go ahead with them. But if they don't have a clue what you're talking about, it might be the time that you go to talk to
Someone
the new
else.
person, someone
Yeah,
else.
I could add a bit of that just as like a foreigner who's lived here for a long time, that I think as foreigners, we have a responsibility to ourselves to go out and do our own due diligence on stuff,
Yes,
And if I was looking for an accountant, whether this is right or wrong, but for me, I think I'd want to look at the company. I'd look at even things like what's their office like, what's their team like, who I'm speaking to. They need to. An accountant for me is dealing with a complex subject that I don't know much about in a foreign country, right? And even though I've been here for a long time, I'm still in a foreign country, and this is something that I have next to no knowledge on. So how do they communicate? Is their level of English good? You know? Is the team, do they have a good level of English?
Yes.
And then I'd look at who are their other clients. Ask them
That's
who
right.
are their
That's
other
right.
clients. Like, I'm sure.
That's something that I would like to mention, that most of our customer actually come from the recommendation from our existing customer.
Yeah, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that could be something.
I'd ask the company. I'd then ask, I'd network. If I was, let's say I was moving to Wahin and wanting to set up a business or something, I'd network locally and say, try and find out who does your accounting or what are they like. And as with any foreigner and expat here, the expat community is pretty small. So if someone doesn't do a great job, you're going to quickly hear about it. And that could help determine whether you're finding a good
as well as
accountant.
the lawyer, or even put it this way, or even when you go to see the doctor. Sometimes you go to the other one for a second opinion.
Okay, let's...
Wow, we have quite a lot of
we have.
questions.
I'm trying to pick them out. One person here makes a good point. So the 51%, 49% law, which is business has to have 51% Thai shareholder to 49% foreigner. Doesn't that kind of force people to use nominees? I mean, I know you're not making these rules, right? But it kind of pushes people to
I think
set something up in a certain way.
Look from different way. Actually, it's pushing people to the foreign business license application more if you want to do it correctly. Okay.
Yeah.
When we have the regulation, it doesn't mean that we try to push people to do the wrong thing. We try to push you into the options that we have it available for the right stuff.
We've got that leads us nicely onto then we've got a couple of questions about BOI. I'm curious about BOI. What kind of companies can you open? and does it allow you to own your own business 100%?
That could be our next session about BOI. BOI, okay, just
what is
briefly.
the BOI? Yeah, briefly.
What is the BOI? BOI is the Board of Investment that we try to get the investment in Thailand. Not only from foreigners, can be a Thai person who want to invest in the specific business that we want to see the growing up, right? To make Thailand to be able to compete with others, put it this way. It's baked into 4 category of the business. You can look at BOI manual. I think they have it online and they have it in English. And if you like, we can talk about the BOI later on. You know, it can be our next session
that
about
could be
that.
A session in itself,
Once you have the BOI certificate, you're gonna get like tax and non-tax benefit. Tax benefits start from the corporate income exemption. You don't have to pay tax on the profit that you make at all. Up to,
I mean, that's an attractive thing in itself.
Up to
right?
13 years. And you can get the tax exemption on the machinery and the material that you brought from overseas. You can get the tax, personal income tax capped at 17% of the high skilled staff, foreign staff that you hire. So that's are the tax incentive. For the non-tax incentive, you can have the right to own 100% share. That's what people are looking for. You can purchase the land, and you have the right to apply for work permit without Thai employee ratio. If you don't have BOI, you need to employ 4 Thai employee, 4 Thai staff per 1 work permit. You know, sometimes you want to hire 2 foreigners, but you don't need 8 Thai employees. BOI gonna skip that rule. Okay, so that's the non-tax benefit that you can get from BOI.
How complicated is it to?
How complicated?
Is it to set up the?
Okay.
Someone can come and see you, and you can.
Yes, you
take
can
the
come to
steps
see
through
me.
it. And how long does it take for like? Approval.
Around 3 months.
And it's only companies in certain
All right.
sectors again. I
When
couldn't just
you-
open it. The example of the restaurant I gave before.
The
me and my
the
friend in the
restaurant
UK.
is going to be like a service section. I need to look at that. It might give you the opportunity to do that, but it comes with the requirement.
Okay.
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 So we need to look at it one by one. It break into 4 categories, and it's gonna have the subset of each one, and then it will show the requirement of each one. The process is you can apply for BOI under your own name as the company director in the future. You do the BOI application, send it to BOI. That would take around 1 month or 2 after you get all of the information for them to present to the board for the approval. After you get the BOI, then you run to DBD to get the foreign business license. You register a company, you get a work permit visa, up and run.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It is an attractive option. That
Yeah. We can talk about BOI later
we go
on.
into
You know, we
detail
can.
on that on
Yeah, we
another
can go into
session,
the
yeah.
detail, and
Yeah.
I can show the application and all of the information that you need to fill in the application.
Okay.
The financial section as well.
Okay. Maybe a couple of more questions before we get on to. We can round it up. But what if someone has? If someone sat watching this thinking they bought their house or land in a company name, and they're worried that they might get caught up in this issue, so they're just going to close the company down, and that'll get rid of the problem.
No. Before you close the company down, who gonna own the asset then? You know, the asset must be transferred to somebody before you close the company.
So
down.
they could transfer it, let's say, to their Thai wife.
Can. So the company sell the asset to the Thai wife. The company book the sales income, right? Then you close the company down. You pay off the tax, everything. Then you close the company
And
down.
then your house is no longer owned or your
So
house
the
and
house
land is no
so
longer
you can
in a
do
company name.
you can do it separately. The land can be transferred to your Thai wife, and the house will be transferred to yourself. Then between you and your Thai wife, you can register the use of frac. That could be the way.
Okay, that could be a solution. Then,
That
okay.
could be a solution. And the company financial statement must show the sales of land and house there. So
Okay.
that would be the income from the sales, and it could be some profit left. Then it could be the dividend. Anything sitting on the bottom line of the balance sheet can be distributed back to the shareholder of the company.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is an option.
Yes, that would be the option. And before you close the company down, it would be a step. There are 2 steps required at the Department of Business Development. You need to do the dissolution first. So you register, it's like informing them that you want to close the company
Okay.
down. Then you do the financial statement, get it approved by Revenue Department. It's like a final checking.
Okay.
Once you get approved from the Revenue Department, you then go back to DBD to register the liquidation. That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's good. I think we can start to wrap this up. We've got
Right.
about 5 minutes left to close this.
Okay.
So I think unless there's anything else you want to add, hold on. Someone's dropped a question in there. This is a bit of a different topic, but maybe it's topical.
Oh.
They're going to
VAT.
raise VAT from 12
Yeah.
to 12 to 15%. Is this true?
I heard about that they're gonna, it's not only VAT, some other stuff related to tax as well. I heard that they're gonna raise to 10%. Again, this is my personal opinion.
Yeah. And at the time of recording, nothing's been changed, right? So.
Nothing has been changed yet. I don't think they can do it right now, with this situation, with the economy situation
I
like
agree,
this. It's gonna reduce all those purchasing demand.
Yeah.
That's gonna make the economy even worse. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we just threw that in there. But I think closing this, what just advice would you give? Somebody's watched this, and some people, as is often the case in Thailand, foreigners are often left with more questions than they have answers, right? And maybe someone has watched this and they're in that situation. What advice would you give? What would be the first step that you would give them? Like, what advice?
The first step, try to put together the document that you have for your own company. If you're not sure if it's right or wrong, you can contact the person or even us to do like a due diligence. As you said, due diligence is the right word. Due diligence doesn't mean when you want to buy or sell the business, or sometimes you want to do due diligence to make sure that you are on the right track. So do the due diligence of your company, then try to get the advice how to fix it. It might not be perfect, but it's better than doing nothing, right? And then I think go from there. Especially the financial statement is quite simple. Even yourself, if you want to have the presentation, we can just send you the sample of the financial statement, and then you can just go through line by line if you have all those things booked or not. And don't be in a hurry to close the company down. It would be step-by-step working that is very important to do it correctly.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so if somebody wants to contact you, how can they contact you?
Yes, we have the QR code. I think it's up on screen now, and you can contact us by email, Facebook, every channel. And our office we have office in Bangkok and Hua Hin. It's very easy to find us in Hua Hin. We locate on the main road opposite Bangkok Hospital. And, call us, make the appointment, can do that.
Yeah, there are quite a few people in the live stream. I can see they've said they've either just joined this or the full thing will be available to watch, it'll be available on your YouTube.
Yes, YouTube.
I'm sure we'll get a copy of it as well on Wahin today.
Sure.
Be on Wahin today. We'll publicise it.
Yes,
these guys have a newsletter as well, which and Facebook. I'm sure you'll see it, but it'll be around. Hopefully, we'll do more of these on different topics.
It looks like we got quite good feedback today, huh?
Yeah,
many people interested, and if you like to hear us more, just be with us.
And who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like I said at the start, this was the first live stream that we've done. It's a bit new to us, but I think we enjoy doing them. And
we enjoy.
If people support them, then
good.
we'll do more.
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
thank you once
and
again.
thank you for hosting us. You know,
Yeah, I have the easy. I just come in and talk. And I can't do much, but I can do that. Right. So thank you, Kun Janjira Samanas, CEO of MBMG Group. I've been Jonathan from Wahin Today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And goodbye.
Yes, see you later.